Welcome everyone to the Leela Show. This episode is more of a musing, a love letter, a note to your buried self, to my buried self, to everyone's buried self here. Before we get into the depth of it, let's go back in the memory lane and remember if there was ever a booklet handed to us that was more like a protocol, instruction manual on how to live, how to love, how to suppress our anger, our desires, our basic fundamental needs, the bare essentials. And that booklet really became your reality. If you were born in a different city, different country, different family, the booklet would have been different. The instruction manual would have been different, but still there would have been something. A note to your buried self is really more of a conversation, a meditation with the younger you, the little you, where you sit next to that baby version of you and ask and help that inner child to open up before they became the good girl, the nice guy, the polite guy, the respectful girl, the one who's always thinking of the family before even speaking what she wants to express. And this is so-called spiritual podcast. I would assume you all are the spiritual audience, right? The spiritual seekers. And in spiritual, the word spirit exists, right? In Tantra, in Sanskrit, the word is adhyatma. Adhyatma means studying the soul, consciousness of that journey, of what it makes us so beautiful, so privileged, so powerful to be in this human life. Because I've mentioned this in one of the podcasts, that the Eastern traditions mention you go through hundreds and thousands of births before you are born as this human life. So the chances are, in this wide ground that you see, there might be insects, snakes that will one day be privileged enough to bond like you and I. What a privilege, and what a waste of that opportunity, because these birds, these animals are way more alive than us. And what the books, the scriptures call a privilege, we have made a mess out of it. We have butchered that opportunity. Because the civilized society, the one that's dominated, controlled by patriarchy, capitalism, the consumerism, all of these complicated words that I hate to say, they take away our rawness, our vulnerability. Patriarchy not only butchers the blooming of the feminine, the children, but it also butchers the men, the boys, before they know who they are. Going back to Adhyatma, studying of the soul, when you start to study the soul, there's one thing you would know, one thing you would notice. The buried self wants to express the longings, the yearning of what it means to be wild, raw, primal soul. And when you study the soul, you know one thing: they are not contained by the narrow lenses of mind, by the narrow layers of mind. They are not contained by the physical limits, the mental limits. Any soul out there is deeply raw and untamed and unleashed. It's meant to be that way. This is why the anxiety exists in us, because we are not being who we were meant to be. When you study the souls, you realize they were primal, raw, untamed. They were not meant to fit in the boxes. They were not meant to be boxed into arrangements, templates, and systems. I get it. We need systems and arrangements for many things. Like, you are running a business, you're having a job, you want to start a family, you want some system, some container, some arrangement. I totally get it. But when we go deeper into the journey of our soul, do not erase that. Do not let go of it. Because that's the very foundation of everything else you're doing. That wildness you are seeing that you are born with, that's not opposite of wisdom. That is the wisdom. The wild feminine within you, that is the source of divinity. The rooted masculine that supports the wild feminine within us, that's the root of your belongingness. When you let go of that inner wild and inner rooted energy, you let go of your existence. Your parents are the biological source of who you are, but the cosmic is the source of even your parents. So when you let go of the cosmic, you are suddenly ignoring, abandoning your very source. The invitation for you here is to understand the play between your shadows and the light. The shadows want you to feed the mind, amplify the mind, the ego, the identity, the memory, the information that you have about who you should be. And the awareness, the cosmic within us, it wants us to be unleashed, untamed, unnamed, infinite. The wild wants you to express freely, feel all the feelings, be vulnerable, be messy, be chaotic, go against the norms, take chances. But the shadow, the mind, it wants you to stay in the container, in the script that's handed over to you. Understanding the shadow versus the wild in you, the light in you, that's what the awakening is all about. Spiritual awakening is not about chanting some mantra or awakening the kundalini. Spiritual awakening is that adhyatma, studying your soul, that's all. This body, this emotion, this vulnerability, this void, that's the temple you need. This is the guru you need, that's all. Stop looking for the heroes outside while you're ignoring the muse you are. If you notice, what I'm talking is really about the dance between the shadows and the light. It really is. And understanding that play requires you to understand the root of your cage, the root of that buried self. There are many ways of looking at it, and in this podcast, I have explored many ways before, will continue to do that, but the one that's showing up right now is, it comprises of 3 layers: the suppression, the rewards, and the rebellion. Suppression is the part that really kickstarts your buried self. It really digs the ground for you to be buried in it. Suppression looks very tender, unconscious, very simple, because it's happening when you were a baby. So it's rarely, and hopefully that's how it is for most of you, that it looks harmless, because when it looks harmful and you are still a child, that's horrible. But a few examples. Let's say it's night time and your mom says, go and pee. It's 9 p.m. You have to go to sleep. And you're like, I don't feel anything in the stomach. I can't go. But they force you. We don't want to wake up at 12 a.m. Go and pee right now. That's a very interesting way of blocking the lower chakras. Someone comes in the home and the parents say, meet them. But you don't feel safe with that person, but you're too young to explain that. That's a very interesting suppression. Of course, the real drama begins when you join the school, the schooling systems. Then you are told pretty much that there are 50 kids or 20 kids in the class. You all have to be on the same level. If you dip below, you will not be liked. You will not be loved. You might even be rejected by teachers and the fellow students. So to maintain some level of acceptance, you have to maintain that minimum level of, measurement, the barometer. If you go above that, we might even reward you. And that's how the reward starts to happen. The good, polite, agreeable kid will always be rewarded. The one who's always making parents happy, teachers happy, getting the good grades, following the system, they are always getting the rewards. And I've said that many times. Give me just a moment, guys. There's a friend on my glasses, but I'll take it off. I've always said this. When you are awarded for something, I get concerned, because that award is rarely to uplift you. It's to mostly tame you. It's to mostly control your expression that this is it. Now you make similar movies. Now you make similar stuff. Don't go beyond. Don't raise your voice. You have to make sure you keep on performing, worthy of this award. I get many emails every year that we have this town meeting or some town event is happening, some spiritual event is happening. We want to honor you for so and so award, but in return, this is what you have to do. It's a full on game show. It happens on every level. On spiritual circles, it's happening, media, movies, science, medical industry. It happens on every level. But every time I see someone getting an award or someone really working to get an award, that's a red flag. Red flag for the soul. Green flag for the buried self, because it will be buried even deeper. So the buried self might even like it. It's a more cushioned space for them. For me, the way I see it, any award that you get, it just puts you back into the system. It just puts you back into the circus, because then it limits you to not go beyond it. It limits you to not cross that line. The third layer of the buried self is rebellion. Now, we all want to rebel when we have gone through such a suppression and we are becoming aware of it. But that rebellion is a trauma response. It's simply an angry reaction, and it does not change the situation. For me, the real rebellion is what Buddha did when he left his fancy kingdom, mansion, and went in search of truth. Mahatma Gandhi in India, that was rebellion. Martin Luther King in US, that was rebellion. Now, these acts of rebellion were rooted in awareness, a certain intention, a certain vision. They were, of course, anger was part of it, but anger was transmuted into something creative, into something productive. So all of us are going to find ourselves in some layer of the buried self, either the suppression, or you are being rewarded for following the suppression, or you are in the rebellion space. And if you are there, my friend, invite the awareness. This is where the Tantra starts to guide us. No deity in Tantra is without rebellion. So it's funny when I say this, but it was not funny when it happened to me. And last time it happened was 2 weeks ago. So this is an interesting moment every time in my adult life, in my even teenage years. Anytime I express my anger, my rage, my disinterest or disapproval on something, I'm quickly told, you are spiritual, you are Tantra seeker. How can you be angry? What's the use of your meditation if you can be angry? And it used to confuse me. It used to absolutely, they would get their job done. I would be quiet, I would be lost, I would be scattered and confused. Now, my take is, no spirituality teaches you to be the carpet for others. No spirituality teaches you to be quiet, submissive, blindly obedient to everyone. Spirituality urges you to sit with your soul, understand the rawness of your soul. And all the deities in Tantra, the goddesses, Shiva, Kali, Baglamukhi, Durga with the lion, Dhumavati, these deities in Tantra are called Das Mahavidya, the 10 prime forces. None of them are in their calm, composed manner. Now, the funny thing is, wherever patriarchy had its way, especially religion, they created goddesses that were submissive, that were calm, quiet, sweet, peaceful, perfect looking, and serving the patriarchy. There are photos and images of Hindu goddesses massaging the feet of the male god, serving the male god. I'm like, that's the dream of every patriarchal voice out there, that women just keep serving us. Tantra works very differently. All the goddesses in Tantra, they don't serve anyone. They serve that self-expression, and that's what they want you to embrace. Serve the self-expression. If you want to be in the space of Tantra, be ready to sit with the buried self and get it out of that burial. It's not an easy path. It's a path of courage, bravery. I have a story which I shared maybe in one of the first episodes in the podcast. The story of a king who was always this very calm, composed, sorted, powerful king. And every neighboring king was jealous of him. So they sent a spy to his place. The job of the spy was to actually track what he's doing. Does he have a secret? Does he have a team? Does he have anything that just gives him so much strength and composure and sortedness? The spy tracked every bit of activity and he couldn't find anything. And he told his, the people, the kings who sent him that I can't find anything. And then he said, there is one place that I have not been able to go yet. He has a room. No one is allowed to go there. That's my last shot. I'll try to go there. And maybe he has something there that we don't know. So one day, eventually, the spy was able to access that room and he sees the king, but he almost couldn't recognize the king. He was naked, dancing, laughing, crying, writing. He was doing what you would say all the weird, unconventional, bizarre things. And the spy got uncomfortable. And of course, in that nervousness, he was caught. And the king asked him, who are you? Who sent you? What are you doing here? And he confessed everything. He said, this is why I was here, to track. What do you do? What makes you so sorted? I couldn't find anything strange other than that series of nights I saw you. And that room is empty. Even if you kill me after this, I want to know what is it that you do and what was that practice? What were you doing? And the king said, from morning till night, I am, asked to be the noble king, the sorted husband, the caregiver to my and loving father to my children, the good friend, the strong masculine. From morning till evening, these are the roles I play. But then there comes a time when I'm not playing these roles to anyone. I take off every mask and I do whatever that the voice in me wants to do. So sometimes it's just raw, naked dance. Sometimes it's nakedness on the pages I write. Sometimes it's chanting mantras. Sometimes it's being in silence. Sometimes it's just falling of the tears. Sometimes it's the longing, the yearning of who I am. And that's what makes me human. That's what makes me sorted. Now that story, till this date, guides me, heals me, empowers me, because we may not be the kings and the queens that we want to be, but that king, that queen, that muse lives in all of us, who's yearning and longing to be in that room where we could be whatever we want to be. And I'm simply inviting you, giving you the permission slip, if you want, to embrace that part of you where you could be crazy, where you could be unconventional, where you could be doing things, expressing things that only you know. And of course, these things do not cause harm, discomfort, or hit dignity or respect of someone else, right? They are in your cozy space. That's your intimate moment with yourself. And that is Tantra. Before you jump into meditating on goddesses, before you jump into even meditating, feel your feelings, sit with what's hurting, get into habit of writing, get into habit of creating. In this age of social media and expression, shift your relationship with it. Rather than jumping on these platforms for validation, for a few likes, and for random shallow connections, use these outlets to extract the artist in you. Use these places to honor that inner artistry. I guarantee you, if you do this right, you may not even need to meditate, to be honest, beyond 5 minutes. The point is, don't get trapped into meditating on goddesses, going to India, buying Tantra books, listening to even this podcast, if you're not ready yet to sit with your nakedness, to sit with your rawness. If you cannot be as crazy as that king in that room, we are not ready to be in the Tantra room yet. That's my giveaway. That's my take on the entire journey of awakening that buried self and bringing it back to life. And the question that might help you is, who are you when no one is watching you? Who would you become if you are in that room, stepping into that energy of the muse, the king, the queen, who's just dancing to her own tunes? 3 things, my friend: consistent meditation, choosing one creative outlet, writing, speaking, painting, music, anything at all, and then sharing it, absolutely sharing it. And then third one is that dance with yourself. Awakening your buried self is a tender, sensitive, soulful, hopeful journey. And like every good thing in life, this one will also demand your vulnerability, your time and patience, and it's so worth it. That's all for now.